realize that it wasn't. But I digress. No, I'm saying you just said that. I was just listening. I was listening to what you were saying. But hold on. But thank you. So what I want to remind everybody is how firefighting companies even began. You think that our firefighting companies, they just automatically started with taxation? What happened in the early? Do you know how they did it back in the day? They would slap shit on the little plaques or whatever on their house, so you knew what fire department. Someone's messaging me. What fire department what private fire companies were for you, and came into it would. And also, I was trying to process this, and I was listening to the scenario.
Society. That prior period that sucked would be your libertarian utopian.
The whole thing spun itself.
You need both. You need central and decentral. There's an argument for both.
I actually, when Bean is done, I want to say something to Brad.
Hi, Bean. Come here, Bean. So the situation, someone had given it earlier, and they were speaking. I think it was Dewey. He was speaking, and he said like the 1 out of 10, you have like 1,000 houses, and 1 out of 10 don't pay, and then you have this. And I was responding, and then everybody said, "Oh, you just didn't even listen." I don't understand how what I was responding to showed that I didn't listen. I was explicitly explaining that in those cases, people would have to. It's not that they would just show up and let the houses burn. They would show up, and then they would be charged, right? If that fire went over that line, right, and the fire department for the other people, whatever, they would put it out, but then they would be held liable for any type of damages that
you'd have to force that on them. You'd have to force that on them.
What's the penalty for that?
Yeah, like you put out the fire in my house. I didn't ask you to. You did that because you had to protect your customers. I didn't ask you to do it. So now you're charging me?
Yeah, no, but you would be fined.
So it's a fine. There you go. It's forced. That's a force.
It's not forced.
Then I'm not going to pay it. I didn't agree to it.
Hold on. As soon as your fire begins to violate my private property, you are now aggressing on my private property.
So it's not
fire? Right. If it's your home and you create and the fire comes from your home, that's your responsibility. Those are your liabilities. So you can let your house burn to the ground if that's what you want. If that's what you want to do.
What is the enforcement?
I am trying to explain.
No, you're not. You're running away from it. You're doing your bullshit fucking rambling. Ramble. And then you're going to try to say something.
I'll come back to the room. I'll come back to the room when Brad's gone. I'd love to have this discussion. I'd love to have this discussion. When
I don't want to say something while we get a point of my last sentence.
No, it's okay. I'm going to use my freedom of association. I'll be back, and I hope that everybody that's in this room would like to continue the discussion. I'll be here when Brad leaves. I'll be here when Brad leaves. Thank you. So that's okay. I'd love to be able to have that conversation. When Brad's gone, I'll come back.
Please go, Shen. Go back to the ocean and try not to get harmed by a whale.
Let's do a room replay called How to Survive a Routine Track Meet about the dysfunctional assholes who think bringing a knife to an argument is a good idea.
Can I make one observation about the room today? Wait. I want to make one observation to Brass, and then a potential room topic. So one, for those who have been here all day, right? Like earlier, Chris was taking the stance of the state should take care of everybody for everything. I shouldn't have to work. And if people remember, I actually was kind of opposed to that. I was like, no, you have to fucking put in your work to eat, right? And what's funny about this is actually the opposite side of that, right? This is because, and even then I was trying to be nuanced with it of like, yeah, you have to allow for this blend, right? Where when it comes to the tragedy of commons or whenever there are things where game theory comes into play, I actually do think it makes sense, right? There are certain things where it does make sense for the government to provide those options. And Brad is also taking that stance as well, right? Fire department, police enforcement, roads, et cetera, right? We can name those things. There are certain things where it does make sense to treat them as a commons and to have the government do it. The question is what's the limit of that, right? Should food be a commons, right? Should housing? Some people think housing. Some people say housing is a right? In which case, all houses should be commons, right? And I would disagree with that. And so it is about finding the demarcation there. I think it's interesting because today, at least, I think that at least what I heard were two extremes where I disagree with both, right? Like, oh, there should be nothing. There should be no commons. The fire department, you either pay for it or you're fucked, or we're gonna force it on you. Or the opposite side, which I don't think is too extreme, is everything, right? Like, no one should have to work. Everybody should be taken care of. If they can't work, we're going to take care of everybody. And I think that's the other side of the extreme. The one parting thought I'd have, and this is, people can reject this because it's a total conversation topic shift, is I'm curious if anybody else in their TikTok feed has seen a major takeover of Chinese manufacturers in their TikTok feed.
Yes.
Because I find it really fascinating.
Crazy.
It is amazing.
Here's where your Hermes bag is made. Yeah, I've seen.
It is taken over my feed, and it's like it is both interesting in like the sense of propaganda, and also I think it's a showing of a hand in a way. I think it actually proves Trump's point in some respects, because going direct to consumer in that way and cutting out the brands that in theory hold and technically hold the IP for it is breaking free trade agreements. They are actually violating FTA if this is a sanctioned move, and it is modern propaganda warfare, which is fascinating that it's being done through social media so blatantly.
Agreed,
I'm talking myself blatantly. It's always been that way, bro.
Yeah, but this is like in your face. Like my feed is like why am I getting random Chinese manufacturers talking to me about how to buy sneakers? I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this? In what way, shape, or form did I ask for this? None, right? They're just forcing that down everybody's throats right now.
Do it. You
There are ones where there's basically some people suggesting that you can create a new business where you basically fly to China.
Yes, I saw that. I was like, who the fuck is gonna do that? That is fucking desperate.
My feed is filled with like all these fucking knives and axes and all this shit, like all of like tomahawks, tents, fucking sleeping bag, tent, all the hiking outdoor gear. It's filled, and now it's like direct here. You can just buy it this way through us and come right here, and we'll save you. Like literally, I have a one night. They're like, come buy this beachy knife, and I'm fine. Would I do that? And they're like, it's 30 V steel and blah blah blah. It's sandy grind. And they're like, it's $10. And I'm going, motherfucker, that's cheap, but I'm not buying your shit.
Dude, they were I forgot who was that was just saying it about this like they have TikTok videos about how you can go get a 10 or 15-day visa, right? Buy a bunch of shit, claim it as personal items, and then bring it back and then sell it at a profit. They're basically like trying to convince you to buy a $2,000 ticket to fly to China to do a bunch of quote unquote personal shopping, to like cut out all the middlemen and then sell the Louis Vuitton bags. And I'm just like, what the fuck kind of direct? That is direct to consumer, a violation of FTA, and just like. One, again, it is. If anything, it makes Trump's point in that like this system cannot be trusted. The second there's pressure, they're just gonna break all the agreements and be like, nah, fuck that. And it's weird. I don't know. It's just a small side note weirdness. I don't want it to kill the room, but I just wanted to see if anybody else was experiencing it. If anybody else had thoughts.
It's on Instagram too. If you watch something on Instagram, because all of my like right now, I'm just exploring parks. And for the record, for those of you. Get yourself the free week of Paramount. I think it's Paramount or whatever. And during Earth Week, all the national parks are being streamed. The National Park Service has, oddly enough, despite all the cutback, they are streaming walkthroughs of all the national parks within the country. So if you ever wanted to figure out if you like a place, if you want to go visit it or whatever, they're going to stream that right to your TV, and you can watch it. You can pick sectors to kind of go to and see that there. And it's a lot better than having some YouTubers, TikTok fucking idiot, talking about how great it is in a perfect moment after 40 shots. These are just literally live streams of what's going on in the park right now, so you can see without any kind of filters what the fuck is going on and how good the trail is.
It seems like we're moving on, but I wanted to push back on Biba's position. I think she's a little bit confused as to how voluntarism actually works. I think she's got the general spirit down, but like there's no scenario in which you're justifying like it's a fine. It's from a different force that's not coercive force. It's a non-coercive force, which isn't a thing. it's a matter of personal responsibility. If your neighbor plays loud music and you don't like it, you don't get to call the cops and have them go over there and issue a fine and use force and coercion to essentially, like, strong arm your neighbor. You just move. You move. You take adult accountability and you acknowledge the fact that you've chosen to set up your homestead where there's other humans and you're willing to accept the consequences of potentially being near humans you don't like. And either you deal with that and you get a white noise machine and you drown it out, or you.
Still, you know what it reminds me of? It's those far right Christian nationalist conservatives that they identify as. They sit there and say, this is how we can reconstruct society and we'll eliminate all the problems that we're currently bitching about. We shouldn't have taxes. We shouldn't have this. And it reminds me of their plan, which I am wholeheartedly against. Like, if they came up and had a candidate that said, fuck no, you guys are fucking morons. That's not going to work. It won't.
The thing is, sorry.
But like her idea